Alright, it has been started. Aww. Julio. Yeah, no, your Tachyon is just unfair to go up against.
That was my previous Tachyon. I haven't put the new one in yet.
Oh, fair. I mean, both of them are unfair, let's be real. Tachyon versus Tachyon, let's go.
When I was doing the special, like, 3-person event, I had Tachyon versus Tachyon versus Tachyon versus Daiwa versus Daiwa versus Daiwa versus Haru versus Haru versus Haru.
Ay, ay, ay.
And we all had the same outfits too, so it made it really hard to tell whose character was who. Taking I have no idea who's going to win very literally.
Oh. Aww. Yeah. Aww.
That's like the 3rd time ever I've seen the Tachyon lose.
Yeah.
It happens, it just does not happen very often.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ooh. And that is what I save these for.
Yep, yep. Delicious. Oh. Fucking dang.
And got episode 6 of Super Creek, apparently.
Alright. Guess we'll have to... No. No.
Screw
No. Boop, 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 boop. What about the outfit? What about the Umas? Boop.
That was only 40 carats, and then notice how I stopped at the 4. If it doesn't happen by the 4th one, then no. Well, it's a good thing I did that, because I actually got lucky and got another for every win you get gift thing.
Oh, nice.
Which actually makes that entirely worth having done that.
Aww.
Yippee. Look at the person's name.
Unlimited impact.
No.
What is?
No.
Oh. Mm. Mm.
We are close. We may or may not see it happen tonight.
Yep, yep.
Oh, that reminds me, I need to check if there's a new mod in.
Hmm. Aww. Ooh.
Yeah, King Halo has not been doing good lately with my team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Oh
What?
no. The person I'm going against.
No.
Oh,
They must not win.
saw who we were going against and locked in.
Like, nah. Oh.
Three.
You leveled
I'm
up the
one
beans.
race. I'm one race away from the.
Hey, you leveled up the beans attack. Like it.
A single one more. Only because I know that's literally all I need to get the next Tachyon thing.
Mm.
Yippee!
About time.
Also, keep in mind I still have 21,098 carrots, and what I need to save up is 60,000, but I have all the way until August to save up the 60,000.
Here's hoping you don't regret those words. Mm.
Well, at the start of this month, I was at at the start of last month, I was at like 7,000.
Alright.
Also, are you enjoying this song?
I tuned it out. Continue. I said continue, not focus on the song, you goober.
Well, if you don't like this song, do you like this song?
Boop, 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 boop. Gremlin.
You know I had to.
Ay, ay, ay. Oh, wow. That was the plan. Girl, that phrasing there. Oh. The trainer is in danger yet again. Yeah, you're a guinea pig. Oh, I've done that. I would say more like running for the metro train when you're behind it and barely able to make it on time. Please tell me the trainer passes out. What the fuck? Why? Thank fuck to realize that. Unreliable data. Yep, yep. Mm-hmm. Ah. うん。 Communication. Girl, you've got your head a bit up in the clouds amongst all that data. Because what she doesn't want to do is break someone. What she wants to do is find out how to push a limit and recover more from pushing the limit rather than breaking past it. So that way you can raise your limit and reach something further than before by pressing it gently and consistently over and over and over again. No further stories available at this time. Delicious. I hear a quiet gremlin. Grabs your cheek and wiggles it. What are your thoughts? You've been quiet this whole time.
I had been slowly moving my mouse to the play button on the Gulshi song, seeing if you would react to it.
I wasn't really noticing. Again, I have the background music tuned out.
But honestly, I think that, and this is more in general about her as a character, I think she's one of the most misunderstood characters, and I think she's simultaneously underrated but also overrated, in that she's overrated in the form of the meme that she is, and she's underrated in the form of the actual truth of who the character is.
Ah. So you're saying that people overrate her based on her surface, but her substance is underrated?
Yes.
Huh, neat.
Because a lot of people, that are saying that they're Uma fans, you ask them who their favorite character is, and they'll say Tachyon, and then when you ask why, they'll do the low cortisol meme, or say that she's a yandere, and she's not a yandere.
If anything, she's if she's anywhere close to being a yandere, she's has a toe in the territory, and that's about it. She's not full in standing on it in 2 feet like Still in Love does.
And then even then, Still in Love isn't really a yandere, because she's that side of her doesn't come out based off of love. That side of her comes out based off of racing.
Off of thrill, so it's more like Adrenaline Junkie.
Yeah, basically Adrenaline Junkie that just so happens to be obsessed with the trainer, yet unlike a yandere, if there's no race to bring that side of her out, that side of her just doesn't come out, which means that the love for the trainer isn't enough to bring that side out.
Yeah.
Which therefore means not
She's
really
yandere about racing, not necessarily yandere about the trainer.
Yeah. And technically speaking, that's not really yandere in that case, because yandere refers to love
and possessiveness.
If anything, she's I'd say she has yandere aspects with how she interacts with the trainer, but I'd say she's less full yandere and more partial yandere, partial
Adrenaline Junkie.
Partial yanjire.
Yanjire?
Because when she's racing in that mode, she starts yelling about wanting to drink the blood of her enemies and stuff. Which is very much yanjire behavior.
Fair enough.
But back to Tachyon is people misidentify her as a yandere, or they just point to the low cortisol meme and completely miss the truth of her actual character, where she is not a yandere.
She's a little lost inside her own head.
Yeah. Very much, I would say, neurodivergent. The level of obsession she has with her interests is very indicative of that.
Kind of like how how one of my special interests is the nature of reality itself.
Yeah, this is kind of part of why I think part of the reason I like Tachyon is because I see you in her in that way.
Mad scientist energy go bird.
The focus on pursuit of knowledge, as well as also how you can be kind kind of like a kind of a silly goober when it comes to getting flustered.
Depends on how. It depends on the dynamic. Because you teasing and someone else trying to tease me, it's a difference. Random person trying to give me a compliment or get me flustered, not gonna happen. It's like, oh, thank you. That's very lovely. I don't have any emotional connection to you, so why the fuck would I care?
And that's similar to Tachyon because other Umas try to tease her and it doesn't really get to her, but if the trainer says something or does something, then she gets
Yeah,
a reaction.
yeah. It's basically,
But
she operates on the
like
same
with
idea. Sorry, go
like
ahead.
I said I'd make you food yesterday. I didn't say anything about today, and then literally like 4 seconds later, make me food, make me food.
Yeah, no, the core idea I think behind that kind of interaction is by focusing on what people she's actually has bonds with and interactions and relationships already existing, by focusing on their feedback and then incorporating it without worrying about what other people in general think about her, she's able to pursue her interests much more thoroughly and also make sure that she's staying true to both herself and the people she cares about. Because if she hurts someone she cares about, then she's not doing proper research. If she doesn't get good feedback from someone she cares about, then she's clearly not being open about her research. And if someone she cares about isn't interested in her research, then that in and of itself is something to take note of at the very minimum. To consider what another person has to think is just as important as to consider one's own thoughts. But to not get lost in it, narrow your scope of field and sift through which things might actually yield rewarding results.
And this kind of gets into part of why I relate to Tachyon a bit is the narrow focus, getting completely locked in on an interest to the point to where you sometimes don't realize that you're taking it too far and it's not necessarily helping
Yeah.
the situation.
Getting so focused on a single direction that you forget to stay aware of your environment. And so you think the environment hasn't changed or that the environment is one way when it's actually another. And thus you're out of tune with your environment, which creates friction that you never really wanted in the first place.
Like when I annoy you talking about like plain stuff or Uma or insert something here.
I think what annoys me more is thinking I have the opportunity to shift my attention from one place to another, and then instead of being able to do that, I get pulled right back into giving attention again. Because at that point, it's like, okay, I thought there was a social contract here, but this gremlin doesn't understand social contracts, and so I have to keep that in mind while also managing my own ADHD energy. Which that friction in and of itself is annoying, but you in and of yourself don't mean any harm by it, and that's the reason why I don't tell you that that friction is annoying, because then you would assume that friction has something to do about your own worth, and then assume that you yourself are annoying, when no, you're not annoying, you're just being a goober. You're just being a gremlin in a bean. And I forget that one social context in some situations doesn't work in other situations. I get so focused on my own desires, I fail to be present in the moment and connect with the people I care about. Very powerful. Very small.
Oh, oh,
Ah, wah, 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 wah.
oh.
Yeah, no, that's something I've noticed is that when I'm focused on doing one thing and then I try to multitask without losing focus on the one thing, but I don't communicate properly with the other person about it, and I try to be in two places at once in a way that isn't possible attention-wise, then ultimately I create friction for myself in unrealistic expectations that I try to reach for only to get stopped short of and or pulled back by the responsibilities I thought I had already outmaneuvered. Because the mechanisms at play are not necessarily finished yet. Hmm, interesting. Which is to say, I get ahead of myself by trying to predict things. And I put the cart before the horse instead of the horse before the cart. At that point, the horse is just confused and going like, "You expect me to move with this here? I can pull something. What? Do you expect me to grow hands and push this cart while also retaining horse legs?"
The horse.
Oh, big hugs.
The horse in question.
Oh, which one?
I I sent a thing in DMs.
Oh, well, well. Oh, well, well.
Meanwhile, the horse's reaction in that situation. Oh,
Well, well.
sorry, you know, I had to make a stupid joke.
It's okay. I didn't
Mm,
even notice the joke.
I'm sorry.
What are you sorry about?
Being annoying
Why are you assuming that you're annoying?
because I am.
No, that's a thing referencing itself blindly.
Oh,
That's not that's not a real answer. That's an imaginary answer. So why do you think you're annoying?
because I am.
Is that something you think you're annoying because your past experiences have conditioned you to believe so? Because other people kept using you as excuses throughout your life?
Eh, eh, eh.
Hey, Cox, you're not annoying, my dear. You're neurodivergent, your own kind of person, and definitely not socially apt in the traditional sense. But that doesn't mean you're automatically annoying. It just means that you have a certain social environment that you mesh best with. And other people not being able to mesh with that social environment isn't a flaw on you. It's a comparison of a contrast, a difference in social environments. No one's at fault in such cases, and it's just a communication failure that arises of natural circumstances. Which is to say, you're trying to speak the same language, but you're using different definitions for the same words, and so people don't understand your dialect. Metaphors go brrrr.
Oh,
It'd be like if I walked into a polite social space and started speaking rudely to everyone around me. No one would tolerate it. No one would understand it. they'd be like, why are you breaking the pre-established social norms here? Meanwhile, you walk into a rude space and start being polite, people think you're being weak because the social dynamics are different. And that creates tension that, unless people know how to flow between both spaces, isolates people from each other. Same goes for trying to communicate is like something logical over something emotional. Each each is a different kind of social space. If you try to say something emotional in a logic-filled space, you're going to get a lot of people going, "What?" Meanwhile, you try to say something logical in an emotional space, they'll be like, "Where is your heart?" It's all contrasting and interconnected. You are not inherently shameful. You may just simply be expressing yourself in a way that contrasts with your current environment. And that in and of itself is something you can put effort into, be it to change, to amplify, to dampen, or so many other things. We are not static objects, we are flowing volumes of information. Decades of life rewritten over and over again. So you are not inherently annoying, my dear. I just don't mesh the best with you. That's okay. Because I can still acknowledge that and enjoy your company. You can acknowledge that you don't mesh well with certain types of social spaces or certain types of people and still enjoy the value that they bring into your life. It need not be a zero-sum game. It can be a positive-sum game where two people working together creates more than each individually put in. And I like that about life. Knuckles and Huggles, the gremlin. Beauty.
Oh.
I get really rambly when I'm kinda tired but still awake like this. Like, I've already done a whole bunch of overthinking today, but I'm not physically tired, so I'm in that kind of between state where I'm mentally tired but physically awake. And so I'm just snuggling.
Oh.
My gremlin, don't beat yourself up. My gremlin, serve yourself and then respect others. If you must reach for one, reach for your foundations first, and then reach out to others. If you cannot make the distance from your own foundation, you have overestimated your capability, and that becomes a lesson learned, something to work on, an aptitude or direction that you might want to explore or save for another time when you've got better resources and skills to tackle. It's all just navigation. Navigation, navigation, navigation. For if you were to turn and look at me truly, you would see that above every path I can choose is a sword that I must hold for the fight in order to earn that reward. Nothing is for free, free is for nothing. Ramble, 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 yay.
Oh.
Have I confused you by accident?
No.
Have
Cute.
you Oh, wow. Was there anything about all of that that you didn't understand?
Oh, a little bit confused.
Okay.
Also, part of it was I also remembered to check the molding
Yep,
and
yep.
wanted to check it before I forgot to check it, and um apparently he's now doing a thing where uh he's now first releasing them as members only videos, and then 2 days later he'll be making it public.
Okay. So no Muldoon tonight. That's unfortunate, but hey, at least you still got each other for good company and good snuggles.
Well,
Ah, come on. Lovely grandma. Mine. Take care of
well,
self. Treasure
well,
small victory. You
well,
are
well,
not allowed to abandon the great work of the world in making it a better place, but neither are you required to do it all on your own. So do not curse your own limitations, but rather embrace yourself, for it is in doing so that you may find new avenues beyond avenues and attitudes beyond.
Avitudes.
Yeah,
Avitudes.
brain tired.
I am not teasing that to be mean. I am teasing that because that was cute.
Yeah, I kind of got that.
Well,
Attitudes, avenue and attitudes combined.
well, that reminds me when I went to the actual jukebox page in well, not page, there you can physically go to the jukebox if you go to it via the main menu, and when I went there, there was Lil Chibi Dodo, and she was on the jukebox, and she tried to ask what's my favorite song, but accidentally said favorite and was panicky and cute.
Nice. Ah. It's been a while since I've just been in this relaxed mental state. It's comfy.
Well,
My eyes are closed. I've got my arm resting on top of cereal box that's tilted at an angle. My head is back. I've got decent company. And I don't have to worry about the world ending completely and utterly. I would have to worry about it being a shit place, but hey, that's the status quo. So at the very least, things are still here. Things are still here.
I
That's
don't know if it
good.
will help, but I remembered two of the funniest news article titles I have seen in a long time, or actually three of the funniest news article titles I've seen, like, in a very long time.
Mm.
The first one I remembered was Florida boy throws alligator through Wendy's drive-through again.
Okay, if it was just like, if that was just a one-off, that would be fine. That'd be like, okay, Florida, good going. The fact that they had to say it again and onto the end of that sentence is just like, oh, so this is a regular occurrence. Oh no.
And you would probably think he hated Wendy's doing that. No, it
No,
was
he
his
loves it.
friend. His friend worked at Wendy's, so he did it as a prank to his friend twice.
Florida, a crocodile and alligators are just water doggos. Scaly water doggos, like a wolf, but with big nom nom, big chompers.
Another one was, uh, I think it was in, I think it was in France. A active stabbing got stopped by a Polish man with a narwhal tusk.
Uh, what? How'd that work out?
Apparently, somebody was just trying to stab people when when a Polish man noticed and got angry at the stabber and just pulls out a narwhal tusk.
You've got knife, I've got narwhal tusk. You wanna go?
It, just think about the fact that the man was just carrying around a
Uh, sounds like the kind of thing humans would do. Bloody fantastic. Oh. It's like the level of
narwhal.
confusion for the stabber was like, why does he have a what is that?
Yeah.
Stabber.exe has stopped working. Error operation not found. 404 next line. You're just inside of the stabber's head and he's just getting dial-up connection internet sounds while meanwhile there's a loading icon playing on visual.
Yeah.
Gotta love when confusion is used for positive benefit. Pattern break, pattern
Also,
break, pattern, pattern, pattern break, pattern break, pattern break, pattern, pattern, pattern break.
also, Florida couple arrested for running meth drive-through out of their trailer.
Florida couple arrested for running a drive-through out of their trailer.
Meth drive-through.
Okay then.
They literally had an open and closed sign.
Ah, Florida, the Dubai of the United States.
Yeah. Also, speaking of weaponized confusion, there was apparently a soldier that fought in Afghanistan that survived Afghanistan because whenever he would breach a room, he would throw a rubber duck into it before going in.
And that's because it's a rubber duck, it's reusable. So it just keeps being a psychological ploy again and again. Oh, that's delicious.
With basically the summation of how each room breach would go would be
You're cutting in and out, hun.
it would go rubber duck comes flying in. Is that a fucking rubber duck? Bang.
Yeah. No, that is yeah, no, that's the power of a pattern break, regardless of if it's for mental operation or just breaking out of its explicit role. and deciding to do your own thing. If you try to do it softly, people are going to be like, no, you can't do that. But if you just do it, sometimes people are like, what the fuck? And it 404s their brain long enough for you to just continue on like nothing happened. Some people use it for crime, some people use it for positive benefit. I would prefer the second one, but really I can't control people, so that's not an option. Still, it's one of the most useful skills, because it's like people going along expecting you to be one way. You turn on a dime in a direction they weren't expecting, and they're just left sitting there confused. And you can just enjoy their confusion as harmless laughter. That is the only kind of prank I think I am good at, and it sucks. Because if I confuse too many people at once, then things grind to a halt. Hmm.
Speaking of hilarious confusion, I actually have a confusion war story that I think you'll actually laugh at because it actually involves nobody getting hurt.
Beautiful.
So, in the invasion of Iraq, uh, a unit of Marines basically committed psychological warfare on themselves by accident.
It sounds like the time a lesbian girl took herself to court in her head to decide if her crush liked her or not, and then I copied it and did that to myself.
Goober. Basically, they were looking at the desert at night and they saw movement, and rather than like taking a minute to breathe and then watch the movement to make sure it was what they thought it was, they panicked and called in an airstrike, which called in something like what would equate to today like something like $4 million falling out.
You cut out there.
Where did
You cut out on the equate to 4 million something something.
I equated like $4 million worth of bombs?
Oh,
Well, $4 million today's money worth of bombs.
yeah, yeah.
It turned out that they just called in a massive bombing strike on just the sand because what they were seeing wasn't actually movement, it was reflections of a town like 30 miles away.
Oh.
They saw the very
You cut out again, right as you started speaking. Are you in the bathroom or something?
oh,
Oh, yeah, go,
goober. But because they saw a bunch of blocky movement in the desert, so they just thought this wall of tanks was coming at them, and they just created a giant sand pit in the desert.
Oh, fucking stupid. Silly, silly reality pranks living people yet again. One for win for the world. Zero win for humanity. Except funny story, that's a plus one.
It was actually depicted in a TV series that was a basically interpretation, a like inspired by true events type story. And the funniest part was in the aftermath. Some of the Marines went to the local town because they knew they didn't get anything with that bombing run. And their commanding officer, trying to justify all the bombs used, was trying to get them to find something they blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And they had sent their interpreter to talk to one of the locals, and then one of them was saying to the other one where they were like miming what they thought they were talking about. And right now he's probably asking, please, just throw me a friggin' bone here. I'll take a truck with bald tires. You Americans blew up a lot of sand. The sand was very evil.
Oh.
The reason I brought this up is it leads into something even funnier that happened recently.
Oh.
So you know how back then we didn't have this level of tech, but nowadays we have drones, we have HD thermal imaging, we have all of these sensors to spot where enemies are, right?
Yep, yep.
Yet in the book used by Iran,
Wait, what?
they made a bunch of balloon tanks and we bought them. And when I say balloon tanks, it probably is exactly what you're thinking about. If you're thinking about giant to scale tanks that are just a balloon out in the middle
It's
of
basically inflatable wartime decorations. Like how people would put up a blow up snowman or whatnot.
yeah, literally like that. And we
And
drop a whole bit.
paranoia does not serve you well in those situations. It's going to be the death of our country.
I just find it especially funny because no one died.
Oh yeah, no, that is very silly.
Just like, oh no, it's a bunch of tanks, crap, we have to destroy them. Wastes like multi-millions in ordnance, only to realize, wait, why is there a bunch of deflated balloons?
Ah. Oh, joy. Big huggle and snuggle.
Well, oh, that does remind me of one of the funniest things about the Soviet Su-27 fighter jet. Its
Mm.
first takeoff was an accident.
Oh no.
So the first prototype had so much thrust power that when one of the ground crew was doing the initial engine checks on it unsupervised, uh, it literally jumped the wheel chocks and started rolling down the taxiway, forcing him to take off. on idle.
From just idling alone.
Yeah, from idling alone, it jumped the wheel chocks and started rolling. So he basically said, "Screw it," threw it into full gear and took off to avoid running off the end of the runway and crashing.
Mm.
Then they had the fun experience of trying to explain to a person who had never flown a plane before over a radio how to land.
Oh no! That is an active air emergency, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, not good, not good, not good, not good.
Reminds me of the F-16 off heard a loud bang when it tried to raise its landing gear, only to realize that one of its landing gear wheels wouldn't like actually retract.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked his wingman to fly up next to him and tell him what was wrong, and he's like, I have no idea how, but your your right side landing gear wheel has broken not only down, but the support strut has popped down 90 degrees down, and the wheel is sideways now. And they're like trying to figure out what to do, and they can't find anything in the manual. So they check like general SOP, can't even find anything in there about it. So they decide to radio back to the base, and the base tries to find anything, and they can't. They say, screw it, we'll call the aircraft manufacturer. And the aircraft manufacturer's response was, I
How
didn't
in the
even
fuck?
think that was possible.
Yep, yep.
And they were basically like, okay, well, what's your advice? Uh, honestly, just
Uh,
honestly, just fly out over the water and eject at this point.
Ow.
Which led to the most
Which
pilots
led to the
ever.
meme of what?
Uh, not meme. Led to one of the most confused pilots ever. Because normally you're trained that ejection is this like frantic last second thing. Meanwhile, he was literally being given instructions about how to just calmly prepare for a planned ejection, which is just something no one does.
Basically, this was not in his programming, and they had to manually reprogram him to do this on the spot.
Yeah, and he was just sort of sitting there like, okay, so what are the things that are most common to cause ejection related injuries? Okay, loose items secured, and just being very confused at that he was literally having to walk through trying to make his plane safe for him to intentionally eject.
That is the way that programming backfires. You leave no free will, you leave no ability to adapt. And that's the reason why I like free will. Because it means that even when you're not there, people can still be there for themselves.
Yeah, it is kind of funny because people say that the Soviets didn't care about their fighter pilots, but like the American or NATO fighter pilot manual is like several pages long about a whole bunch of different ways to handle aircraft emergencies and keep flying with a damaged aircraft, whereas you read the Soviet manual and it's what do you do when your aircraft is damaged? Eject.
But
But
that manual was
what
built from a time when manual was built from a time when the country cared about its people. I'm pretty sure that country is Russia is currently trying to hang its current leader for incompetence.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I'm surprised we haven't started doing that with our current leader, but since he's a puppet, it wouldn't change things now, would it? That's really the one thing that's keeping everyone from going after it, because they don't want a fucking false flag revolution. They don't want a fucking fake out where it's like we put
oh
in
that
all this effort to get rid of a motherfucker and it still doesn't solve the problem.
oh that's the thing. It's been all but proven that he's a puppet because when the shooting at the White House dinner happened, he was the third priority person to get out of the line of danger.
Yep, yep.
The
I mean,
first person they grabbed was JD Vance. The second person they grabbed was Stephen Miller. The third person they grabbed was him. And
yeah,
that was only because when they went to grab RFK, he had already started evacuating himself.
which is just like, okay. At
The
that
fact
point,
that RFK was considered more important than him says everything.
This is
yeah,
the most
he
important.
is the living scapegoat. And 6 months ago, on October 17th of 2025, a video was published called Russell Vo, the Shadow President.
Yep.
That is the motherfucker that needs targeting, really. Trump is just
That
the
and
clown
that
circus
and
that
Stephen
appeases
Miller.
people.
That and Stephen Miller because he's basically votes happiest disciple.
Yeah.
There's a video that got leaked of Stephen Miller when he was talking about how we shouldn't kill our enemies, we should just torture them because torture is somehow the celebration of human life. Going into detail about
Oh,
like just
fucking
cut off their finger.
idiots.
Just going into detail, saying stuff like just cut off their fingers.
Oh. When suffering has meaning and purpose behind it, people can become wise. If you torture people for no reason, you are being dumb as fuck.
No, it was very apparent that he just had a sadistic torture fetish.
And he wasn't satisfied with the masochists out there in the world?
No, okay, I'll put it this way. He was one of
I'm making a point of my own, my
oh,
dear.
oh,
I get the idea. He doesn't consider human lives as human.
yeah.
Fucking damn
Also,
it.
also, I don't know if you saw it in the video that I sent you, but the shooter literally got past security by Naruto running, apparently.
Yeah, no, I saw that. It's a combination of confusion and just genuine. No one expects someone to run in looking dumb as fuck. Everyone expects you to be in a certain position holding a gun. They expected a tactical operation attack, not a or fucking rioting protesters, not someone hunched to half height looking like a dumbass and running in completely confused.
That they expected an actual game plan, not just, all right, let's do this. Leroy Jank.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that's part of why most of my dumb ideas in games work, is because a lot of the time I don't really stop to think about what I'm doing. I just get the barest frame of an idea in my head and just say, okay, fuck it, we ball, and just try it.
Now, if only that had worked for Jenkins.
Like, I was playing a PvP VR shooter game, and there were enemies around the corner down a hallway, and I said to myself in my head, you know what sounds like a good idea? And before I even finished answering that question mentally, I had pulled out a grenade, pulled the pin on it, and then batted it down the hallway with the butt of the gun like a baseball bat.
Yes.
And from down the hallway, I just heard, what the fuck did they just bat down the hallway with their gun? Oh god, bang.
No amount of training can prepare you for the absurd.
Yeah.
Get stupid.
Or playing an
Go crazy.
airsoft. Yeah. Or playing airsoft at night when everyone else had night vision and I didn't even have a flashlight and I could barely see, and I just said screw it and charged into the building and took out two people because I physically ran into them, so I didn't need to see them to shoot them. And they were too busy being like, who the hell are you and where did you cut bang? And then I just charge up into the room, into this room, thinking I'm safe in there, I'm safe in here, I'm gonna hide here, there's no one else in here. And then I hear people in the room shooting out the windows at people and realize, oh god, I'm in a room full of enemies and they don't even realize I ran in here. And then I just listened for the sound of them shooting, guesstimated where each one was, made sure I had enough shots left in my pistol because all I had was my pistol, because I lost the rifle earlier when I ran into one of the people.
Because they assumed that the lower team got you when they heard the shots.
Yeah, and like I didn't realize until I was sitting there like, wait, why am I holding my wait, where's my rifle? Oh god, it's gone. How many spare mags do I have for the pistol? Those are gone too apparently. How many BBs do I have? Um, 6. How many people do I hear shooting? 6. And
Okay, then.
for guesstimating based off sound, I quickly shot all 6 of them. And that's when I heard one of the refs yell index, which meant that I had just killed everyone in the building and took over the building.
Without night vision.
And the ref came walking across the field, laughing so hard he was crying because he had watched the entire thing through night vision.
Hell yes.
And then he just asked me, "Did you have any idea what you were doing?" And I just went,
No.
no." Yeah, I had a feeling.
That reminds me of the time I just fucking guesstimated my way, like mentally flying by the seat of my skirt into trying to keep track of someone else's emotional state when I was on the fritz internally, stressed out to no end, and just fucking stupid. And somehow I feel like I still got hit the nail on the head in a way that left even the other person confused and scared of how accurate that was. Like, for fuck's sake, I did not have enough information to be making that call, but I made it anyways. And this is. And if I have succeeded twice in a row now, then I'm just fucking stupid.
It's kind of like when I was playing DCS with a friend like 3 or 4 years back, and
Oh.
we were flying World War II planes on a PVE World War II server,
Mm-hmm.
and I just saw what I thought was just a couple enemy planes, and my friend was like, we should probably wait," and then I just went nuh and flew straight at them. So my friend decided to follow me, not wanting to separate. And next thing we knew, out of the clouds came like 15 enemy planes, and it was all of a sudden a 2 versus like 15. Yet we somehow survived.
Oh, gotta love the dumb shit. If reality didn't have dumb shit like that, it would be so fucking boring. You'd have
or,
the
or
top critical level skill players, the ones who can chart a chessboard in their mind in the fourth dimension, be in control of everything. But no, instead you have this just gremlin running in out of left field, not even aware of the situation, and wrecking their entire plan, and they're just going like, what the fuck? I love shit like that. I wish I could pull
or
it
on
off myself.
or on a PvP DCS server flying a Soviet attack helicopter from the 1970s on a modern server and saying, "Screw it, I'm gonna try it anyway," and flying towards the enemy airfield when I see something flying over, and I just nose up and blind fire a heat-seeking missile at it, and I see the kill notification that in a 1970s Soviet attack helicopter that gives me zero information about what I'm fighting, I killed an F-22 Raptor.
Trying to fucking remember what I was gonna search up here, because there was something that came to mind, damn it. Night vision, goggles, around that area, but brain's not pulling the context, damn it. Oh well. Hugs and snuggles.
Uh, Kind of like this picture too, because I was looking to see if I still had any pictures from some of the stuff that happened.
Hmm. I know of one other incident that really sticks out in my mind as like a clear memory of me going, that shouldn't have worked. Where I was just hanging out with some childhood friends, and they had these plushies around the place, and one of them was this calico cat plushie. And I was chasing one of my friends down. I saw them get to their room and try to close the door, so I just threw the cat plushie. And the cat plushie managed to stick right in between the door and the frame, get caught right there, even as they were trying to slam it shut. And I was just like, I'm never doing that again. I'm never pulling that off again. Oh, I just
Super.
love little moments like that in life.
Also, did you see the pictures I just posted?
I've seen one, and then two. I do not know how to make
That
sense
is
of
a
them.
that is a fully armed enemy player who has zero idea I'm there.
Hi, dude. What the fuck?
I had to basically do the most high risk reward stupidity possible, which basically that plane I'm flying is stealth, which means it's very hard to detect on radar. But in order for me to see anything, I have to have my radar on, which still at least lets them know I'm in the general area. But I turned off the radar and like went zero communications, no nothing, just complete silence, completely blind into the situation, just flying around low altitude, looking around above me to see if I saw anything. Saw a plane flying over and came up behind it, and that was him.
Oh. Yeah, no. The power of a gremlin in the right place at the right time can take apart any strategic operation. And you love it when it's on your side, but oh, you'll hate it when it's against you. That is why I like the gremlins.
Or these pictures from a replay of me surviving.
Fucking
Standard way of avoiding the missiles is you put them off of your wingtip so that you make the closure rate equal to you and the backdrop and pop chaff, or you fly around aggressively to bleed the missiles of their energy. But my stupid autistic brain, remembering the exact statistics of that launcher, just went, wait a minute, that thing's missiles have a maximum G limit of wait. So if while they're still burning it, and then I just turned and flew straight at them and started just doing a high G barrel roll, and it worked.
fucking hell.
The enemy players on the nearby airfield were just staring, and I was wondering why they hadn't scrambled yet. It was because they had completely forgot they were supposed to come try to kill me because they were too busy, like, basically communicating with each other, trying to figure out what the hell they just witnessed.
Hell yes. I can do anything. The world revolving. Hmm.
And then there was the time that flying the little helicopter I showed you a while back.
Oh yeah, the egg helicopter.
Just flying at absolute lowest altitude at the highest speed, I managed to sneak in close to the enemy airbase, and then when they started sending jets out to go after my teammates, I was just waiting there with an egg armed with 4 air-to-air missiles. But because it's the egg, they weren't good air-to-air missiles.
So you had to chart it yourself.
So, you know how they make those shoulder-fired surface-to-air launchers for infantry to at least have something they can fire at a jet to scare it away, where it almost never actually hits it?
Yeah, it's more of the implication of the threat or the chance of being hit rather than the actual outcome of being hit.
Yeah, that thing's air-to-air missiles is just strapping 4 of those to pylons on the outside of the aircraft, and I literally waited until the last possible second to launch them, which gave them no time to react. If you see where the start of that smoke trail is, that's how close he was when I fired the missile.
Fucking damn.
it it was funny because like w- when I saw that, I like put it into a hover, and then in the text chat he just said, "What the hell is a little bird doing there? Why were you there?" And then I just responded with, "Because I had a feeling you wouldn't expect me to be." And he just responded with, "You're damn right."
Because I could. Because I could. Some of the greatest
So
things and some of the dumbest things humanity has ever done have been pulled off by living by that exact phrase.
yeah, I
Too
don't
bad
know
it's.
why.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't know why it continues to just work for me.
Eh, maybe you're in tune with absurdity. Who knows? I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure Looney Tunes logic is practically a near power in this world, even if it's not a reality changer. It's at least a dynamics modifier. Of course, if you get up against someone who's actually accustomed to that kind of shit, then it's just like, oh, well, okay then, and they adapt. So it only works in certain circumstances.
But if you want me to get in VR, I have to switch headsets.
Yeah, no, take your time. I've got to go to the bathroom, so that can work out in timing. It'll help me refill my water and it will allow me to end the recording. Any last words for you two?
Mm,
You forgot you were being
yeah,
recorded, didn't you?
yeah, yes.
Adorkable.
Um, I guess last words for YouTube is, I don't know, Obama Musume, the Luke and his Steve Harvey. I don't know.
What in the fuck?
There's a character in Invincible called Lucan who's a Viltrumite, and he looks like dead on, spot on for Steve Harvey. So it's kind of a inside joke of Invincible fans that
Okay, but how did Obama and
because
Uma Musume enter the equation? That's my question.
Obama Musume, just picture Obama with Uma ears.
I don't want to. So what, are you saying Obama Musume is the horse and then the trainer is fucking Steve Harvey Viltrumite?
Yes.
What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know how to wrap my brain around it, so bye YouTube.